All right, then. So we are live now. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Yunus Youth Webinar Series. My name is Carolina. I'm part of the Yunus Youth staff. So before we start, I want to let me introduce to Yunus Youth. We are an international organization that supports social entrepreneurs with a capacity building, mentoring, networking, and access to global opportunities. Y&Y was founded in 2014 with the support of Nobel Prize laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus to connect global social business entrepreneurs with business experts to build successful and financially sustainable solutions that address the world's most pressing needs. Yunus Youth has impacted over 500 youth in 65 countries with its personalized social business training. Today, we are here joined by our amazing fellows to discuss the role of diversity in the new normal. For that, they have joined us today from all around the world to discuss their perspectives on this issue and help us reflect on what we want for the future as youth and as social entrepreneurs, as diversity, and in the context that we are living today through the pandemic and the after effects of what will come by. You can use the comment sessions on the YouTube chat to interact with us, ask any questions to the speakers, to the moderator, so we can get through the call and interact with you guys as we go through the webinar. You can use Twitter to share your thoughts about today's webinar. You can tag us. And if you take a picture of yourself watching this webinar, you can tag us on Instagram. And whoever has watched all of the webinars will receive our full social business essentials toolkit. So if you guys are watching, go ahead and tag yourselves there. I will start by introducing Buchi, who is our moderator. Buchi, she's a social entrepreneur and advocate for the social and economic development of women. She is the founder of The Amazing Woman, a social enterprise founded for the purpose of ensuring the empowerment and personal development of women and mothers. She believes that women are a powerful part of society and all must be done to ensure they take their place and play their role in the development of our society. Through this initiative, she has launched a number of projects, including training women on how to use social media to digitize their skills and make money. And most recently, she fronted the Women Against COVID-19 outreach, which aimed at providing relief to low-income women during this pandemic and also encouraging women around the world to stand tall during these trying times. If you want to get to know more about this as well, you can go to our social media, as we posted as well, how you can go to their relief fund and get to know more about Buchi's initiative. And just before I give it out to Buchi, Nina, one of our fellows, couldn't join the panel, so she sent a video so she can introduce a little bit about her social enterprise and her business and give us a little bit of her perspective about diversity in the new normal within her own context. So I will be sharing the video of her so you all can watch it very quick. Here we go.
What do we do exactly? For training and for international educators in Austria. That is people that came to Austria in the last couple of years, already speak quite a high level of German, and they apply for our 6-month training program called the Entrepreneurship program, in which we show them the very specific of the Austrian labor market and how to find a job, how to write a letter of motivation, how your CV should look like, what job applications look like in general, the legal regulations, and so on. And then we match them to Austria, so we are also a labor market agency, so they will be matched for competition with our In addition, we also have a training program for companies. So it's a training program where we show employees of bigger companies or work together with employees of bigger companies on having them realize some of the biases, different stereotypes that you might have in working together with people from a different background or just different people and their different experiences, and we make that more open, so you can actually see this biases you have in the consequences that you make. So you know where I come from and what we do. That's in a very quick nutshell, more than one protected in our work here in Austria. So our main touch points with diversity is on the one hand side in recruiting, and on the other hand side also in changes in work now with COVID-19. Maybe also on the situation right now. So we had a lockdowns for a couple of weeks back in March and April, but businesses are opening up again, and we also have some job openings that we were able to fill in the last couple of weeks. So things are getting a bit more back to normal. But what we see
Yes, we're having some technical issues with the video, so we will put it up afterwards with the blog in our main page, so you can watch it fully with the great sound. So we don't have that as she's cutting off and the sound is not delivering in the live. So, well, without further ado, then we can move forward. As you guys know, I already introduced Bucci, so Bucci, you can take over now, and we can start the webinar. So thank you guys for joining us, and we can officially begin now.
Thank you so much, Carolina. Thank you, everyone watching from around the world, all the youth. We are saying Happy International Youth Day once again. Thank you to my very amazing and wonderful change makers from the Yunus Youth Fellowship. So I would quickly introduce everyone on the panel. We have 4 panelists, but today, like Carolina has said, we would only be having 3 of them present, as Nina's video played, previously. So I would quickly introduce Louise Hamilton. He is a graduate of economics and postgraduate. He's a graduate of economics, and he has a postgraduate in marketing. He's the co-founder of the social organization called Attain Brazil. Louise was recognized as a social entrepreneur of the future by Folha de Sao Paulo in 2013. And he's a young social entrepreneur by the International Youth Foundation and was recognized as a young social entrepreneur by the International Youth Foundation in 2017. Louise has had the opportunity to represent Brazil in an edition of the Civil Forum of the BRICS in Moscow in 2015. So he talked about social entrepreneurship at that forum. He has also participated in courses across several continents in 2014, spanning over to 2016. He is responsible for initiating the methodology of inclusion of people with disabilities in the labor market. Wow. He's implementing innovations in corporate volunteering services and opening the fundraising through tax. Louise, Louise incentives, sorry, one second. And opening the fundraising through tax. Louise is a certified APMG International in project development management. During the university period, he worked in the junior company GR Consultoria as an intern in Brazil. So, like I said before, we have very amazing change makers here and social entrepreneurs. So, I know we're veteran, but give a round of applause to Louise Hamilton. Thank you so much for being here today. So I would also want to introduce one of our panelists. Her name is Tolu. Tolu is a very amazing woman. Her full name is Tolu Lopez. Okay, so Tolu Lopez is an international development practitioner delivering quality gender responsiveness education and vocational programs for young women in low-income communities in Africa. She's currently the executive director of a non-profit organization called WOW Foundation. WOW Foundation. As a youth activist, she leads community self-help groups to create awareness of the importance of girls' education. Also, she serves as a personal mentor to several young women and sacrifices her time and resources to personally empowering them through education. Tolu is a recipient of the UK government's Chevening Award, a member of the Queen's Commonwealth Network, and the Yunus Youth Global Fellow. She's a UN SDG ambassador and a Rise Up for Girls Challenge Fellow. I'll say that she is an ardent girls empowerment superhero, pretty much. Tolu's heart of service is drawn towards helping female Africans like herself to attain economic independence. So a round of applause, a virtual round of applause for Tolu Lopez. Thank you, Tolu, for joining us today. Our next speaker is Diego. Diego is Peruvian. He likes to be called an eco-feminist. He's a CIS gender gay man. He's also a social entrepreneur and a youth rights advocate. He's a biologist focused on biodiversity and climate change governance. He has 7 years of professional experience and 10 years promoting projects and processes of social and ecological transformation. He's worked for the UN agencies, international cooperation, and Peruvian leading environmental institutions. Nationally and internationally recognized for his work, linking nature and society. He's an activist at biodiversity and climate youth-led movements. Co-founder of Central Orbs, an NGO for urban conservation, which has played a key role in political advocacy for the largest wild ecosystem in Lima. He's also an author of an innovative methodology named FOLA Model for change makers based on methodologies that have reached more than 10,000 people. Wow. Ship for World Leaders Fellow, Leader for Emerging Cities acknowledged by Youthful Cities. He's also a Yunus Youth Fellow. 1 second, please. He's also a Yunus Youth Fellow, a Youth Action Network Fellow. So a virtual round of applause for Diego Padilla. So thank you so much for being here. Oh, okay. So Diego is not available now, but yes, he's one of our speakers for today, but that's fine. We would, if he joins us, we would go, we would introduce him again. So quickly, I would like to say, give the speakers about 2 minutes to tell us what, today's topic actually is the role of diversity in the new normal. So I would like them to share their ideas, thoughts about this topic in relation to the work that they do and in relation to these times and post-COVID-19. So briefly, like we say, ladies first. So Tolu, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Bushi, for the nice introduction. All right, hello everyone. I'm very pleased to be on this webinar. I am an international development practitioner and policy analyst, and I have extensive experience in education and gender, as well as public policy programming. So I'm currently the executive director of a nonprofit organization called WOW Foundation. So WOW is working to advance African women in STEM education. And this nonprofit has a social enterprise initiative for empowering socially excluded groups, especially women from low-income communities, to participate in technology education and entrepreneurship. So this has actually given me the breadth and the depth of the issue of diversity and inclusion. Also, as a young African woman in STEM, I have experienced firsthand the challenges women face in achieving upward socio-economic mobility, as women typically do not have the opportunity and encouragement required to thrive, especially in the field of STEM in science, technology, engineering, and math. So as a result of gender biases, stereotypes that plagues this sector, and this sort of lead women to the fear of what the society may think or what future professional and personal prospects may be available to them. So I know what it feels to be excluded, and that is why I'm here today. I look forward to this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tolu. I see you have extensive background in policy and in research as well, and in promoting gender rights. So thank you very much. I'd like to say you said you understand what it means to be excluded. You rounded up saying you understand what it means, or you understood what it means to be excluded. Could you just shed more light on that before we go to Louise quickly?
Okay, so that applies to my personal journey. I myself studied STEM, so it was growing up was quite difficult because as a girl, my parents wanted me to actually go into fields that are related to home management, so as to prepare me for marriage. But I've always wanted to study sciences, so I had to go through so many challenges myself. So that's what I said, like, I've experienced myself the kind of exclusion in terms of gender in STEM education. So that's it.
Thank you for promoting STEM education for women all around the world and young girls. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tolu. Mr. Louise, over to you. Could you tell us your understanding about the role of diversity in the new normal, giving us a brief background, of where you're from, what you've experienced, and what you look forward to post-COVID-19? Yeah.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Butchie. Thanks, Tolu. So, hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending where you are. It is great to be here with you today. I want to thank Yunus Youth for the invitation, and I hope that what you hear today may be useful to you in some way. Special thanks to Marcela, Yasmin from Yunus Youth, and Carolina, and friends that are also going to speak today. I am co-founder of ACIDI, Social Action for the Equality of Differences. ACIDI was started in 2010 with the mission to create an inclusive society for people with disabilities. Up to date, we have impacted more than 100,000 people all over Brazil. ACIDI embraces 3 ways of working. The first one is to empower the families of people with disabilities. The second one is related to help people with disabilities to reach their full potential. And the third one is to make the inclusion of people with disabilities into work. We are an NGO with a sustainable business model. So during these 10 years of existence, we have partnered with a lot of companies all over Brazil. And besides we have just completed 10 years now, I can assure you that this is only the beginning. Now, talking about my view of the topic, at the beginning of the pandemic, no one knew what was going to happen, right? Companies started firing workers to preserve the cash flow. Schools and universities were closed because they didn't know what to do, and so on. And now, some months later, a lot of countries are starting to open up again. Companies, schools, and universities are adapting to the new normal, but no one knows exactly how it will be, right? So I think that diversity can really be the focus during the building of this new normal. Companies have a big role in doing this, and I think that it will be possible to accelerate the introduction of diversity into their teams. And I will tell you why I think this way. Thinking about diversity, what comes to mind is a lot. Lots of ways to think, lots of ways to act, lots of people from different realities, each one with their history, beliefs, and dreams. Diversity is related to skin color, beliefs, economic power, sexual orientation, and so on. Embracing diversity actually means accepting that we are all different and that we are only searching for a way to achieve happiness and a life full of meaning. There are lots of studies that support embracing diversity into schools and companies as a way to achieve a higher level of empathy and teamwork. So my dream is jumping into the future to a day that we don't need actually to have events to talk about diversity. I dream of a new normal where the word diversity will not be used to refer about people because it will not be needed. But this isn't the reality we face today, right? So what is needed to build a new normal with diversity? Amongst people with disabilities, there is a saying, nothing about us without us. And I think this is the answer. It's right on our faces. We have to hear people. Hearing everyone is the path to a better future. How to build an inclusive educational system? Hear the people. How to build an inclusive company? Hear the people. How to build an inclusive government, legislature? Hear the people. Then we as a society will understand each other and build a new normal that should have been the everyday normal since always. What will happen when we achieve a society with diversity? We will be able to focus our energy on solving other types of problems and challenges, and it will be awesome. Don't you all dream about of this day too? Thanks.
Thank you so much, Louise. That was very, very poetic. Thank you so much. So I'll take some, I just want to double back on what you said. You said you dream of a future where diversity will not be the conversations that we are having. So you dream of a future where we can focus on our energy on other things, right? So that is really awesome, because right about now, a lot of us, like even speaking for myself, being a Nigerian African female, you know that at the cadre of race, we are pretty much down, down there. That's where we have been placed. And my sister Tolu would also agree with me that it takes us, we have to put in 110% of work to get ourselves recognized, to prove that we are worthy and we know what we are about. So to us, diversity has been a struggle that we've grown up with. It's with what we've always wanted to for people to see us, not for the color of our skin, but for the quality of who we are. So for that future that you dream about, I certainly am dreaming about it with you. I'm sure Tolu is also having that dream where she could be invited to, she's already involved with the UN and with various formidable international institutions, but where people of my color, women of my color, people with disabilities, we are not sectionalized. We are allowed to be us. The new normal should present us with not necessarily a manifesto, for a lack of a better word, but with a plan of how we are all included in everything. How they're not surprised to see a Black woman in a UN Congress meeting, or they're not surprised to see a person with disability discovering the cure for a particular type of cancer. They're seeing us as simply who we are, human beings that are worthy of everything that every human being should have. And those are simple things of respect, of our voice being heard, of we being able to enter into a country and not be still afraid, or people not being afraid of us because I'm Black and they think I'm going to steal or going to rob them, of people not taking our women to foreign countries for prostitution, of seeing us really as more than the labels and all of these things they put around us. So thank you so much for that. I would quickly go to Lopez. And Tolu, I would love you to tell us about the role of that the pandemic has played in encouraging or discouraging diversity, and also explain to us how has this affected you and the work that you do with young women and girls. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Buchi. Like Louise said, it was like at the beginning of the pandemic, no one knew what's gonna happen. But I would say right now, we know that COVID-19 has deepened inequalities and sort of exposed an alarming socioeconomic disparities in our society, either in developed countries or in developing countries. So it is important that we start thinking long term as we embrace the new normal. So diversity is as important now, if not more so than ever before, though we are all in this pandemic together. We need to understand that not everyone will be experiencing this crisis the same way that I do or that we do, So people are dealing with unprecedented situations, and research has shown that the hardest hit has been on people living in poor communities, people living with disabilities, women, and other minority ethnic groups. So recognizing that the pandemic has a greater impact on some group of people is our first step in, I would say, developing our emotional intelligence as leaders, as social entrepreneurs, as champions of change, so as to strengthen inclusiveness through our work in our community. It is quite interesting that the pandemic has opened up flexible and remote opportunities like jobs and educational programs that people can benefit from. However, there's still like some challenges that could prevent these people from accessing these opportunities, you know? So we have come to know that at this time, especially during the lockdown, the needs of our employees and our customers, our program beneficiaries have changed. So we had to like adjust to suit their personal needs and circumstances. And also the pandemic has amplified the pre-existing gender roles or division of labor, you know, especially adding extra tasks for women. So for instance, as a result of the lockdown, most of our program beneficiaries at World Foundation who are women, they are juggling a lot of responsibilities from childcare to caring for sick people, caring for their elderly relatives, helping their children with schoolwork. So this has reduced the time they spent on personal programs towards their own achievements or ambitions. So creating flexible programs that can accommodate their needs has certainly helped us at World Foundation to make the difference for those women. So I would say that this pandemic has given us a great impetus to sort of re-strategize, replan, rethink our plans and policies, and to think about how well we can strengthen diversity more than before.
Thank you so much, Tolu Lopez. Thank you so much. I think one thing that struck with me from what you said is that you said that different people are responding to the crisis in different ways. So you cannot assume that what affects Tolu Lopez affects Hamilton, or what affects Hamilton affects me, despite the fact that we are all in this world together and nobody had the opportunity to travel to Mars to stay. We all had to stay on Earth to get through this pandemic. And while the pandemic has brought a lot of disadvantages, you also did not fail to highlight the fact that it's shown us that I can connect with someone based all the way in Brazil. I can connect with people based all the way in the United States. I can connect with you based that you're living in the diaspora, but and we can find common grounds to make change. So while before we go about our busy lives, we are not able to sit down and do this on the regular because you know what? I could call her on the phone. I could send Hamilton an email, right? And he would respond. But now we are forced to come together, thankfully, with the internet to say, how can we move post-COVID-19? So COVID-19 has helped us see other ways of doing, of making change, which is what the Yunus and Youth is doing with this webinar series on diversity, right? Amazingly, you said that it has exposed the gender roles. Before, like you said, they want to see us as homemakers, as nurturers, because we are women, right? But despite the fact that we have the biological makeup to breastfeed, to give birth, it doesn't necessarily make it our job to do it alone, which is why man and woman come together to start a family, right? Or man and man, but in our case, man and woman come together to start a family. And if you would agree with me, you find a lot of women taking care of their spouses, their children, and very minimal time for personal development, which brings me to ask Hamilton, in relation to what you have said, to ask him, what would you say the laws on ground are to protect the rights of people with disabilities, bearing in mind that we are moving into the new normal, and also putting in mind what Tolu Lopez has said, that now we see a very clear distinction in gender roles. We see more women, and I'm sure that there are married women with disabilities. Are we saying that if it's so difficult for us who have children and some of us who are married, how then are people with disabilities coping, with this very clear gender roles? Hamilton, can you help us?
Yes, thank you, Butchie, for the question. It's a great question. And what about what you were saying before, we should see, it's like during the pandemic, we are seeing like a lot of numbers of people dying, and it's really sad, right? But beside these numbers, people are not numbers, people are potential. So this is what we should think. So thanks for what you said before. And now getting to the topic, I would say that laws are necessary when society is not having the expected behavior, right? In Brazil, two of the most important laws are related to the rights of people with disabilities. One is about the right to have education, and the other one is related to the right of having a job. They are so important. If it weren't for them, the number of people with disabilities working and studying would be even lower than it is today. For example, in Brazil, around only 1% of registered workers are people with disabilities. The good side is that because of the law, the rate of employment of people with disabilities is getting higher in an average of 5% each year. So I think, yes, the laws are adequate and important in the new normal, right? Maybe in the next years, we will see a lot of the results of what is happening now, and will be placed to new laws to assure the rights of people with disabilities and people from other diversities. But we all will have to keep an eye on it, okay? And as I said in my words before, I dream of a day when we don't use the word diversity to refer to people. And I think the same about the laws to protect the rights of people with disabilities. I dream of a day when we will not need laws to assure the rights of people at all. So this is what I think.
Thank you so much, Hamilton. Thank you so much, Hamilton. I also feel like I don't know what it is like to be living with a disability, and I must say that it will be very challenging for anybody, no matter the disability. But I've come to also see people, both up close, and also over the internet, with disabilities, with but physical disabilities, with amazing, but with amazing, tremendous, unimaginable abilities that you can only but think about how wonderful it is to be a human being, because are giving, so like you said, you don't see people as numbers but as potential. So we all have that something that we can give. But I feel, and I know that if we had laws that enable people to follow and to develop more of what their potentials are, as against, who you are meant to be by race or by background or by kingship or by royalty, you will see more and more people discovering solutions and less problems. So taking us back thank you so much, Hamilton, taking us back to my lovely and amazing sister Hamilton. You're also my brother, but Tolu Lopez is living in the diaspora, so and being an African woman, so she will have a lot of things in common. So Tolu Lopez, if you could help me with, would you agree that we need to empower more women, especially in the low-income countries? And do you think we can certainly reach a point where nearly all women are empowered to attain economic independence? And the reason for this question is we find that a lot of women in my country, in Nigeria, and chatting with my friends in Rwanda, in some other African states, third world countries, they feel left out. They feel like we need to come to the US, we need to come to the UK, I need to go and see Hamilton in Brazil or to one or New Zealand, and that's the land of opportunities. We find many people relocating to Canada. I will not mind if I relocate to Canada. But so the truth is that I know that there's work that I can do in my country to make it better. But most of us have given up on, coming from a place where there are not that many opportunities for us to thrive. So what would you say, especially for low-income countries, our women certainly need better empowerment? Yes, for what are the parameters for this empowerment? Like, how do we go about empowering these women? How does your WOW Foundation go about empowering these women now and post-COVID-19?
Okay. Thank you, Bushi. I would say absolutely. How women need to be empowered to attain economic independence. I think regardless of their age, their ethnicity, their socioeconomic background, they have the ability, they have the capability to achieve economic independence. We as development actors and social entrepreneurs, we just need to like work together with all other stakeholders to make this a reality for all. Because when we invest in women economic empowerment, then we are directly creating like a path to achieving gender equality, diversity, and poverty eradication. Like you said, it is no surprise that gender inequalities is only worsening in low-income communities or in the developing countries, as women tend to rely more on men to keep them afloat. And when a woman is sort of deprived of economic resources, she's more dependent on income recipients, which are usually the husband or the brother. And so the best way to give women ownership of their own life is to support them to achieve financial independence. Although we need to consider different aspects of women's lives, as economic empowerment is complex. So we need to consider changes within individual, because we need to know the knowledge base of those women, their self-esteem, their educational background. Then we also need to look into our communities. What are the changes in our community? What are the social norms? What are the stereotypes and behavior? It's not just our community alone. We need to look into our own company. We need to look at the policies we have on ground, okay? So we also need to look into the political environment. But we just have to have like an effective approach to empowering women. So for us at Y Foundation, education is one of the most important means of empowering women with the knowledge, the skills, the self-confidence that they require to participate in economic activities, whether it's vocational training or professional skills. I think how women in low-income communities deserve an education in some sort of field that has the potential to lead them to a career of livelihood. Right now in Nigeria, like Bushi said, there are no opportunities, but I'm going to counter that, because there are opportunities in Nigeria, because we just need to look at where the opportunities are. For us, we've seen that there are opportunities in technology field in Nigeria because it's growing, and they require more talent, but not the youth don't have the job skills for them to go into that sector and grow. So I think one of the most practical ways to create that diversity is to be sure that young women are an integral part of the workforce. So at Y Foundation, we are committed to expanding the contribution of women in STEM education through different interventions at different points in the pipeline, from increasing enrollment in STEM education at secondary school level, all the way to tech building skills for young women to take advantage of the blossoming tech market, not just in Nigeria, as well as in Africa. So we provide training, we connect them to employers, we provide seed fund grants to young women for them to create their own technology startup business. So we sort of nurture them all through that process and connect them to mentors as well. So it is, for me, I think it is really important to note that gender equality and women empowerment is a right, okay? So when we let women know that this is their right to be empowered, is their right to benefit from the opportunities out there, they would automatically sort of attain economic independence. We need to let them realize that they have the right to education, they have the right to good health, they have the right to every other opportunities that they want to achieve. So that way we can help them attain economic independence.
Tolu, thank you so much. While you were talking, thank you for, making me, further believe in the fact that there are opportunities in our country. And, you said gender rights is human rights and human rights is gender rights. So there is no gender rights and human rights. It's not separate. It's the same thing. Like human rights is women's rights and women's rights is human rights. So thank you very much for that. Well, talking about STEM, that science, tech, education, and mathematics, so a number of young girls, let me use young girls that went to public schools, right? They may not be aware of the fact that these opportunities exist. So what's the pipeline? What's the funnel in getting these young girls from very disadvantaged backgrounds? I'm talking about, let me give you an example. What if I'm a girl of 16 and I'm staying in the eastern part of Nigeria, let's say Imo State, but my parents are late, or my father is late, my mom has no tangible handiwork. So she said, oh, go to Lagos, which is a metropolitan city, where I'm based now. So she says, oh, go to Lagos and stay with one of my sister's uncles, brothers, aunties. You can go there and be a housemaid, they will train you. She gets into Lagos and she gets into a public school. They do her the favor of putting her in a public school. Now she's not aware to these programs that you have. She does not even know how to connect to the internet. So what are those partner agencies you work with? That can let her know that these things exist. We are here, we can help you. Should you be interested in them, following that career path? Yeah.
All right, thank you, Buchi. So I would say that the description of the girl you just painted for us right now are the kind of people we work with the most. And we've been able to reach these girls, especially in hard-to-reach communities, through the government as well as teachers. Teachers have, I would say teachers have the most impact on our young population. Okay, so we've been able to expand our programs through teachers training. So we bring in teachers together, we bring them into the city, we bring teachers from rural communities into the city. We train them for like a week or two. We empower them, we give them training kits, we give them our curriculum, and then they take it back into their local communities to implement after-school programs to other girls. As far as the Northeast, where we have the Amajiris, okay? So we go as far as taking our program through our teachers or local mentors, so they can have a room, because they understand the languages, they understand the culture. So through us, the teachers are able to like have a rapport with these children, and they are able to help us translate like our curriculum from English to native language that this student can easily engage with. So teachers has been really instrumental in helping us to expand our programs and reach the kind of girls that we want to impact, because we believe in them. We know that they have the potential. They might not have the opportunities, but they have the potential. So giving them that opportunity, we realize that these are children that they have wealth of knowledge. They are visionary. They might not have the opportunities, but they have a vision. They have the potential to be great. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, because it's very good to know that there are structure and systems, because what separates any powerful country, organization, or people is the systems that they have in place, and how that you can trickle down your values right to the bottom level, from top to bottom. It's systems, having the right systems in place. So thank you for that. It's very interesting to know that you are working with the rural teachers. And while the teachers, like you said, they are the custodians of this key, and these are little ones coming up. So they do a fine job. And thank you very much for everybody here who is also a teacher that is watching as well, for the wonderful work that you do. Thank you to Lopez. So Louise, I would like to ask you as well, what role do you think the government has to play in ensuring that the inclusion of people with disabilities, especially at the legislature level? Now, while you have explained to us, about the 1% of disabled people that are registered in Brazil, I also have another question, which is it that the people with disabilities feel I don't know the lack of a better word to use, ashamed to go and register that they are living with this disability, or by they registering, it's pretty much a bad stamp or a label saying that, oh, so she's registered with this, we're not giving her a job. She's on this database. So why is registering as a person living with disability important to the government, and at what level what is the legislature in your country, or you can give us examples around what are they doing to make sure that these people want to register, and what's the need for them? Is it going to are there going to be better policies? So please expand more. Thank you.
Thanks, Bushi, for this another amazing question. It will be really nice to talk about it. And before I start to answer, I want to comment that it's really nice to see Tolo talking about the Wall Foundation. And it's really good to see people talking about what they are passionate about. You can see that there is a flame in their eyes and they really want to change it, to change the reality. So it's really nice to see this. And talking about the question, I think that the government is the main player in ensuring the inclusion of people with disabilities. I mean, you guys may identify with what I will say. Government generally aims to provide the well-being of people, but sometimes they can't understand all realities. So I like to think of NGOs and social business as the best friends of governments all around the world, because the NGOs and social business works with problems, offering services and creating new methodologies that governments would not be able to do it alone or in the right timing, right? So I think that during and after the pandemic, civil society and social business have a major role on acting and showing the government what should be the priorities. I mean, a few number of NGOs and social business have the structure to create a great impact, but they can create it if they are able to influence or work with the government. So I think this is the moment when NGOs and social business can make change gain movements and impacts. In the last few years, here in a city in Brazil, we started to work with the local government in projects that will impact thousands of people. We were not able to do it before because we still were not prepared to work with the government. But now, with the help of the government, thinking projects together, we will be able to go to the next level, right? So about the second question, why does people with disabilities need to say that they have some kind of disabilities to be registered? It's like the law in Brazil legislate about the number of people with disabilities a company needs to have registered, so they don't have to pay a fee, a tax. So sometimes people with disability, I mean, it depends on the people. There are some people with disabilities that the disability is not like you can see it, right? And sometimes they don't feel like they want to share that they are someone with disabilities, because that there are still some kind of prejudice about this in Brazil. Even the person with disabilities have this kind of prejudice and don't want to share it. But for people that they are a person with disabilities, like you can see it, for them that is not a problem at all. And sometimes companies search for them because they are someone with disability to fulfill the quota they have to fulfill, and to not have to pay a tax. I don't know if it was clear what I want to say, but if you don't understand, just tell me and I will explain in another way.
No, I understand. So if you get it correctly, it's not that the companies want to employ people with disabilities. It's just that they want to evade taxes on a certain quota. So I will employ you, not necessarily because I want you, but because I want to evade taxes. And I feel that
I mean that there is companies that we work with, some of them that want to hire people with disabilities because they know that is good. This is good. This is good to give the opportunity to someone. It's good to have diversity on our team. But most of the companies, they start to hire people with disabilities when the government knocks on their door and say, oh, you are not fulfilling the quota, so I will have to apply a tax on you. So they go crazy and start to hire a lot of people with disabilities.
Mm, mm, interesting. Wow. Wow. So how do we get people with disabilities now to spot these red flags in companies doing this debate tax? And also, is it something that can be reported to the government, or better still, can people living with disabilities be more, especially like you said, when the disabilities are not physical? So it's even difficult for us to know and difficult for them to come out to share. But are there avenues for you to implement policies that protect these people with disabilities so they don't fall into these kinds of situations with organizations who may not pay them what they are worth because they feel like I'm doing you a favor anyway to employ, and it shouldn't be so. So if I'm very much capable of delivering in a job role, the same way somebody with the same abilities or maybe above and beyond that person, I should be paid my fair wage. You shouldn't offer me something lower because you are doing me a favor and you want to evade taxes. So what are those policies with your organization? I see, what can you do, or how can you work with the government? Because you said the best friends of the government are the social entrepreneurs and the social businesses, impact businesses, and the NGOs. So, what can you do, or what steps can you take in your network to ensure that these people are protected and well paid for the services that they render?
Yeah, what we do is that we created a methodology where at the same time we are preparing a company to hire someone with disabilities, we are also preparing the person who will fit the job. So into companies, we create the awareness that the disability is not like it's just some characteristic of the people. You know, it's not like what they are. It's just like my name is Luis and I am someone who uses glasses, and my name is my name is Luis and I am someone who have intellectual disability. It's just another characteristic that I have, you know. So everyone has a lot of challenges. Some people it's like about math, and some people it's about writing. Some people it's about some kind of aspect to work, and the disability is not. It's just another characteristic. So to work with the government, we started before we started to work with organizations that teach and promote the development of people with disabilities. So we started to identify what was needed to create a more inclusive society for people with disabilities. We started to make small scale projects with few people to see what happened. Well, if we what was with if we what if we what was we sorry we were trying to see if our projects was creating impact in a small scale. So we try to take learns from this, and now we are trying to make big scale projects with the government to impact a lot of people. So two of the two projects are already coming out with the government, and we expect to achieve like a lot of impact in the years to come.
Thank you so much, Louise. Thank you so much, Tolu. I know that it's been one almost 56 minutes of sharing your experiences about the work that you do, the awesome work that you do, the experiences you have working with the people that you serve, your beneficiaries, also sharing with us the way forward for our governments, and what diversity would mean in the new normal, because we know for certain that we cannot go back to the ways we used to do things before COVID-19. We are very, now we see now, before everybody was living a very fast-paced life, but we've had the past 4 months to soft pedal and to really ask ourselves, what are those things that are important? And I think the new normal will involve us asking that question every day of our lives. Like, what really is important? And what's important is that we are able to preserve the core of the human race, which is our humanity, and ensuring that whatever we do is to preserve that humanity. So in time, when we will face another crisis, come what may, we're stronger together, and we know what the goal is, that my brother is not the enemy, it's this plague that is the enemy, and how can we fight it together? So we continue to, in the work that we do, spread love, and we continue to spread inspiration, we continue to educate, we continue, like Hamilton, to advocate, we continue to uplift, and we continue to serve the people that are vulnerable. And when we have the mantle, when we are given the mantle of leadership or a position of change, we can use our voices to effect change on diversity and inclusion going forward. So I hope that you have been able to share everything that you had from your work, because I could see Tolu has like, Hamilton says she has so much passion and fire, and is going to get as many girls educated, in STEM education. And Hamilton, thank you so much for advocating for those who cannot advocate for themselves. I grew up in a Catholic background, and one of the things that is important to then, while I was Catholic, is that you get a greater blessing by serving the people who can do nothing for you. That's what this saint called St. Vincent de Paul. And listening to you and listening to what you've done, it reminds me, about that background where you serve those people, not because you want to get anything, because you know that by doing that, you continue in that ecosystem of preserving our humanity. So thank you so much. Our work may seem little, but it is very important. And on behalf of the Yunus Youth Global Fellowship, the best fellowship in the world for social entrepreneurship. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm so happy to have moderated. I learned a lot, and I look forward to continue to connect. Thank you, Carolina. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been an amazing discussion. So there's like a virtual clap to all of you. I think it's so inspiring to hear about, as I was saying, the passion from all of you about your own social enterprise and the way that you have approached your challenges of diversity, specifically through a pandemic and all the many diverse challenges that we are facing right now in the whole world. So I think it's super inspiring to hear how you guys are approaching this. And it is, the insights that you guys are giving us, I'm sure, can inspire a lot of other people to rethink and learn and unlearn a lot of things that we happen to do, and face them with a new perspective from the opportunities that this past time has given us as well. So on behalf of Yunus and Youth, I want to thank you guys for your time, for your great insights, for giving us your perspective and sharing your passions with us, which is always inspiring to share with you all. As you know, this video will be recorded here on YouTube, so you can rewatch it and reshare with other people. As Louise was saying, there's like afternoon and night and morning for all of us around the world. So we know that there will be a lot of people that are interested of hearing about this discussion as well afterwards. So do follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on our social media. We will be reposting about this specific webinar. I also want to invite you guys for our last webinar, our OWASP series that will happen on Wednesday. So if you follow us on our social medias, you'll be able to see the new topics. The speakers will be joined by other groups of amazing fellows to keep on discussing on this topic. So again, I want to, Bucci, thank you so much. We were an amazing moderator. So it was amazing to have you moderate this amazing group and getting all these amazing perspectives from all of you guys. So thanks again. Thanks to the Y&Y team who's in the background, planning and doing all this back office to make this happen. So again, thank you guys. We wish you a fantastic Sunday. I appreciate your time and your amazing insights.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Carolina.
It was awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, you guys. We'll be speaking soon then.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.